we're going to compare and contrast donor-advised funds to private foundations. Most people are familiar with private foundations, but maybe not as much with donor-advised funds. So what is a donor-advised fund? It's basically a charitable investment account where you put money into this investment account. That money is ultimately used for charitable purposes. Now, how are each set up? The donor-advised fund is as simple as what I just described. You go to either an investment firm or maybe a community foundation who's familiar with these donor-advised funds. You contribute their minimum amount to invest in a donor-advised fund. That investment is tax deductible, and then you have your donor-advised fund set up. A private foundation, on the other hand, you have to form the legal entity, submit an application to the IRS for your tax-exempt status, you have to form a board. In other words, it's a more cumbersome and expensive process. Now, in terms of the control of the assets, in a donor-advised fund, you can make recommendations on how the funds are used, and typically they'll follow your recommendations, as long as those are made for donations to US-based charities. In a private foundation, you do have much more flexibility in how the assets are used, including maybe some international philanthropic endeavors. For those concerned about anonymity, a donor-advised fund does offer more anonymity in that you can set up a donor-advised fund completely confidentially, and then that donor-advised fund can make contributions to a charity that's anonymous as well. On the other hand, a private foundation does have an annual filing requirement with the IRS called a Form 990-PF, and that is open to public disclosure, meaning any donors as well as any grants that the foundation makes are subject to public inspection. In terms of passing these down from generation to generation, a private foundation does offer more ability to do that. So if this is something that you want to pass down to your children and your children's children, a private foundation has the ability and flexibility to do that. A donor-advised fund, on the other hand, is typically just set up for whoever makes that initial contribution. There's no mechanism in place to pass that down to future generations.